For years I trusted her blindly, but one random household gadget uncovered the devastating truth of her affair. And as I stood there staring at the evidence, my entire world collapsed while she scrambled to explain the unexplainable. It started with an Alexa, not the affair. That apparently started months ago. I'm talking about how I found out. How one voice command shattered 15 years of marriage and left me sitting here wondering if anything in my was ever real. Sarah and I had just finished dinner. Takeout Chinese because she'd been too tired to cook lately. I should have known. All those late nights at the office, all those weekend team building exercises, I wasn't invited to hear about. Alexa, play our anniversary playlist. I said, cleaning the containers. I'm sorry, I don't have a playlist called our anniversary playlist for this account. The blue ring responded in that calm electronic voice. I laughed. Hey Sarah, did rename our playlist. She froze. I watched her face go white in the kitchen light. Alexa, what playlist do you have? I asked, still chuckling. Have 3 playlists: Michael's workout mix, date night with Derek, and quiet moments together. The Chinese container slipped from my hands. Orange chicken scattered across our hardwood floor like puzzle pieces I'd never be able to put back together. Date night with Derek. Sarah's mouth opened and closed like a fish drowning in air. Michael, I can explain, but I was already asking. Alexa, when was Date Night with Derek created? This playlist was created on March 15th. March 15th, the day she told me she was working late for the Morrison account. The day I surprised her with flowers at her office and the receptionist said she'd left hours earlier. Alexa, when was it last played? This playlist was last played yesterday evening from 7:30 to 9:15 p.m. Yesterday evening, when I was at my brother's birthday dinner. When she said she had a migraine and couldn't come. I stared at this woman I'd shared a bed with for 15 years. This woman who'd promised to forsake all others. This woman who'd apparently been creating romantic playlists for some guy named Derek while I was out trying to hold our social together alone. Who's Derek? The words came out like glass in my throat. Sarah started crying, not the gentle tears of remorse. The panicked crying of someone caught red-handed. He works in accounting. Michael, it's not what think. What do I think, Sarah? Because right now I think my wife has been having an affair and using our smart home to soundtrack it. She crumpled onto our couch. The same couch where we'd planned our future. Where we'd talked about kids we never had because she was always not ready yet. It just happened, she sobbed. We were working late together and, how long? She couldn't look at me. 6 months. Half a year of lies. Half a year of me making dinner reservations for 2 while she was making dinner reservations for 2 with someone else. Half a year of me wondering why she seemed distant, why she was always on her phone, why she'd stopped laughing at my jokes. Did love him? The question hung in the air like smoke. Sarah's silence was my answer. That's when I noticed the other things. Her phone face down on the counter, like always now. The new lingerie I'd found in the laundry that I'd never seen her wear for me. The way she'd been showering immediately when she got home from these late nights. I need to leave. I heard say. Michael, please. We can work through this, I'll end it. I promise I'll. Jitro. I'd never yelled at her like that before. Never yelled at anyone like that. The sound echoed off our walls, our wedding photos staring down at us like witnesses to a. She left that night with one suitcase and a carload of excuses I didn't want to hear. I sat in our living room until sunrise, asking Alexa to play random commands just to hear a voice that wasn't filled with lies. Alexa, do I have any other playlist I don't know about? Have one additional collaborative playlist, Weekend Getaways. Weekend Getaways. All those times she said she needed space, needed to visit her sister, needed work conferences in cities I'd never heard her company mention. I checked our credit card statements that morning. Hotel charges in places we'd never been together. Restaurant bills for 2 on nights I was home alone eating cereal for dinner. Charges at lingerie stores on days she told me she was shopping for work clothes. The paper trail of betrayal was everywhere once I started looking. Hidden in plain sight like a magic trick I was too to figure out. My phone started buzzing with texts from her. Apologies and explanations and promises to change. But I kept thinking about that playlist name, Date Night with Derek. Not for colleague, Derek. Date night Derek. She'd been dating him. While married to me. While wearing the ring I'd saved 6 months to buy. While sharing a bed with me and a future with me that was apparently never real to begin with. I called in sick to work. Couldn't face the office where everyone probably knew. Couldn't face the questions about where Sarah was, why she wasn't at the company picnic, why I looked like I'd been hit by a truck. Because that's exactly how I felt, like everything solid in my world had turned to quicksand and I was sinking fast. The worst part, I kept asking Alexa questions all day. Alexa, what's the weather? Alexa, what time is it? Alexa, how to survive when the person trusted most in the world turns out to be a stranger? I'm sorry, I don't know that one. Yeah, join the club, Alexa. By day 3 the text from Sarah stopped being apologies and started being logistics. She wanted to come get more cloths. She wanted to talk about the house, the car payments, the shared credit cards. She wanted to figure things out like adults. As if adults had affairs and created romantic playlists for their side pieces while their spouse ate dinner alone night after night. I agreed to let her come by when I wasn't there. Left the garage code the same but changed all the smart home passwords. Petty, maybe. But I wasn't about to let Derek's playlist serenade me while I tried to figure out how to rebuild what I didn't know was broken. When I came home, half her stuff was gone, but she'd left the Alexa. Probably figured I needed someone to talk to. She was right about that. Problem is, even artificial intelligence can't answer the questions that matter most. How to trust anyone again? How to sleep in a bed that holds memories of promises that were never meant to be kept? How to look in the mirror when realize we're living a fantasy while everyone else knew the truth? I don't have answers yet. Maybe I never will. But I know these smart homes are only as smart as the people living in them. And apparently, I was the dumbest person in mine. The motel room feels bigger than our house ever did. Lonelier too. But at least when I ask questions here the silence is honest. I thought the worst part was finding out about Derek. I was wrong. The worst part was finding out that Derek wasn't a secret to anyone except me. It's been 2 weeks since the Alexa incident. 2 weeks of sleeping in this motel room that's become my new reality. 2 weeks of avoiding phone calls and pretending I have food when my boss asks why I look like warmed over. Yesterday I finally worked the courage to go back to our house. My house now, I guess. The mortgage is in my name. The insurance policies list me as the beneficiary. The joke's on Sarah, really. She walked away from 15 years of marriage for a guy who probably doesn't even know her middle name. But walking into that house felt like touring a crime scene. Everything looked the same. The coffee maker we got for our 5th anniversary. The throw pillows she spent 3 hours arranging just right. The wedding photo on the mantle where we both look so young and hopeful. I started going through her stuff methodically. Not out of nostalgia. Out of rage. I wanted to find more evidence. I wanted to as much as possible so I could stop feeling numb. That's when I found the journal. Sarah never told me she kept a journal. Another secret in a marriage apparently built on secrets. But there it was, tucked behind some romance novels I'd seen her reading but never thought to question. I shouldn't have read it, I know that now. But I was already drowning, and curiosity felt like the only thing keeping me afloat. The first entry I landed on was from 8 months ago. Derek brought me coffee again today. The good kind from that place downtown. Michael never remembers the office coffee. Derek pays attention to things like that. 8 months. Not 6 like she told me. 8 months of comparisons. 8 months of me failing tests I didn't know I was taking. Derek asked about my weekend. Michael was watching football and barely looked when I walked in. Derek would never ignore me like that. I remembered that Sunday. I'd been excited about the game. Asked her to watch with me twice, but she said she had emails to catch on. Turned out she was probably texting Derek about how neglectful her husband was. The entries got more detailed. More cruel. Derek listens when I talk about work. Actually listens. Michael just nods and makes these little sounds like he's waiting for me to finish so he can go back to whatever he was doing. Derek remembered I mentioned wanting to try that new restaurant. Made reservations for us during lunch. Michael forgets our anniversary half the time. I think I'm falling for Derek. Real falling. Not the comfortable settling kind of love I have with Michael. The exciting kind. The kind that makes check phone every 5 minutes and smile at nothing. Every page was another twist. Another reminder that while I was living she was busy documenting all the ways it wasn't good enough for her. But the entry that destroyed me was from 3 months ago. Told Kelly about Derek today. She said she wondered when I'd finally wake and see what everyone at the office already knew. That Michael and I have been roommates pretending to be married for years. She's right. Derek makes me feel alive again. Michael makes me feel like I'm sleepwalking through pine. Everyone at the office already knew. I sat on our bedroom floor reading that line over and over. Everyone knew. Her coworkers knew. Her friends knew. Probably my friends knew too and just didn't have the guts to tell me. I was the last person to know my own was a lie. That's when my phone rang. My brother Jake. Hey man. Haven't heard from in a while. Everything okay? I almost hung. Almost pretended everything was fine like I'd been doing for weeks. But I was so tired of pretending. Sarah's been having an affair. Silence. Long uncomfortable silence. Jakey. Michael. How did I find out? Not I can't believe it, or sure. How did I find out? Knew. It wasn't a question. I suspected. Listen, I didn't know how long have suspected. More silence. Remember Sarah's birthday dinner last month, when she got that text and stepped outside to answer it, and joked about how she was probably planning some surprise for. I remembered. I'd laughed it off when she came back looking flushed and distracted. Said it was probably her sister with some family drama. Her sister was sitting right there, Mike. She looked as confused as the rest of us. The rest of us. Even Jake's wife knew. Even my sister-in-law was in on the secret that my marriage was a sham. Why didn't anyone tell me? What were we supposed to say? Hey, wife seemed shady. Would have defended her. Always defended her. Even when she'd off family events or show lately like she'd rather be anywhere else. He was right. I would have defended her. I did defend her. Every time someone made a comment about her being distant or distracted, I made excuses. Work stress, family issues, wedding planning fatigue that somehow lasted 3 years after our wedding. I hung on Jake. Couldn't handle any more truth that day. But the calls kept coming. My mom, who apparently had been biting her tongue about Sarah's cold shoulder at family gatherings. My best friend from college, who'd been waiting for me to notice that Sarah never seemed happy to see me anymore. Everyone had been watching my marriage fall apart in slow motion except me. The journal had more entries. Pages and pages of Sarah documenting every moment she fell out of love with me while I was busy being in love with her. Planning anniversary trips she didn't want to take. Buying her flowers she didn't appreciate. Suggesting date night she found boring. Michael surprised me with dinner at Antonio's tonight, the place we went for our first anniversary. He looked so proud of himself for remembering. But all I could think about was how Derek would have picked somewhere new. Somewhere exciting. Michael lives in the past. Derek lives in the moment. I remembered that dinner. I thought it went well. She'd seemed quiet, but I figured she was tired from work. I'd even told the waiter it was a special occasion and they brought us free dessert. I'd felt like such a good husband that night. Turns out I was just a good reminder of everything she was trying to escape. The final entry was from the day before the Alexa incident. Derek wants to talk about the future. Our future. I know I need to tell Michael soon. I've been putting it off because I know it'll destroy him, and despite everything, I don't want him. He's a good man, just not the right man for me anymore. Maybe he never was and I was too young to know the difference. Derek makes me feel like the person I was always supposed to be. Michael makes me feel like the person I settled for being. I closed the journal and sat in our bedroom until it got dark. Our bedroom that she'd been sharing with me while planning a future with someone else. Our bed where she'd been lying next to me every night while dreaming about Derek. The cruelest part wasn't the cheating. It was the kindness, the way she'd framed it all as protecting me from the truth that I wasn't enough for her. Like staying in a loveless marriage was somehow more merciful than giving me a chance to find someone who actually wanted to be with me. I called Sarah that night. Michael. She sounded surprised. Hopeful maybe. I read Journfast. Had no right to. I had no right. I'm husband Sarah. Or was anyway. I had no right to know that my entire social circle was watching check out of our marriage while I planned romantic dinners couldn't wait to end. She started crying again. I never meant for to find that. Never meant for me to find out about Derek either, but here we are. Tell me something, Sarah. When exactly did decide I wasn't worth the truth? Was it before or after started comparing me to boyfriend in writing? It's not that simple, Michael. It's exactly that simple. Fell for someone else and instead of being honest about it, made me the villain in story. Made me the boring husband who didn't pay attention while we're off finding with Derek. That's not. I didn't want to buy. Didn't want to me. Sarah, let me plan our future while we're planning yours with someone else. Let me think I was in a marriage while we're already divorced in head. Me every single day for months. And did it on purpose. The line went quiet except for her crying. I want a divorce. I said, and I want to know that everyone who matters to me already suspected what we're doing. Everyone except me, made me look like in Sarah. In front of my family, my friends, probably my coworkers too. That's the part I don't think I'll ever forgive. I hung before she could respond. Sat in that empty house surrounded by the ghosts of a marriage that was apparently over long before I knew it had started dying. The smart home had told me about Derek. But Derek was just the symptom. The real disease was that I'd been married to someone who saw me as an obstacle to her happiness instead of a partner in building it. And somehow everyone else had diagnosed that disease while I was still thinking we were healthy. 3 months later, and I'm writing this from what used to be our guest bedroom. The master bedroom feels like a museum exhibit of my own stupidity, so I sleep in here now surrounded by boxes of legal documents and I'm still trying to untangle. The divorce papers came through last week. Sarah kept her maiden name professionally, so at least she doesn't have to deal with the hassle of changing it back. How convenient for her. How perfectly planned. Derek became her fiancé 2 weeks after our divorce was finalized. I found out through Facebook. A photo of them at some fancy restaurant. Her hand positioned just right to show off a ring that's probably worth more than the engagement ring I saved for 8 months to buy her 15 years ago. The comments were nauseating. Two are perfect together. About time, so happy found soulmate. Soulmate. After 6 months of dating, what does that make me? A 15-year practice round. I deactivated every social media account that night. Couldn't handle seeing our mutual friends congratulate her on finding real love. While I was eating frozen dinners and trying to figure out how to use the washing machine without turning everything pink. But the real kick in the teeth came when I ran into Derek at the grocery store last Tuesday. I was in the cereal aisle, standing there and trying to remember if Sarah liked the kind with almonds or the kind with raisins before remembering that Sarah's breakfast preferences weren't my problem anymore. That's when I heard someone say my name. Michael. I turned around and there he was. Derek. Tall, put together Derek in his expensive suit even though it was 7 p.m. on a Tuesday. Derek who had stolen my wife and somehow made it look like I was the one who'd lost something that was never really mine to begin with. Hi. What do you say to the man who ended marriage? Thanks for taking her off my hands. Hope enjoyed the playlist. I just wanted to say, he looked uncomfortable. Good. I'm sorry about how everything happened. I never meant for it to go that far. Never meant for it to go that far. Like falling in love with someone's wife was just a minor miscalculation. But I said, it did go that far. And knew she was married. He nodded, had the decency to look ashamed at least. She told me the marriage was over long before anything happened between us. Did she tell she was still sharing a bed with me while she was falling in love with? Derek's face went pale. She said two were basically roommates. That hadn't been intimate in months. Intimate? What a clinical way to talk about sleeping with another man's wife. We had 3 days before I found out about, I said. Watching his expression change was the first satisfaction I'd felt in months. Did she mention that part? He looked like he was going to be sick. No, she said two were basically separated. Living like strangers. Well, I guess we were. I just didn't know it. I left him standing there in the cereal aisle looking like someone had just explained that everything he thought he knew about his relationship was built on lies. Welcome to the club, Derek. Population everyone Sarah has ever claimed to love. But even that small victory felt hollow because the damage was already done. Derek gets to be the hero who saved Sarah from her boring marriage. I get to be the cautionary tale about paying attention to spouse. The worst part about divorce isn't the legal stuff or the money or even the loneliness. It's the way it rewrites history. Suddenly every happy memory gets re-examined through the lens of what now. Our wedding day, she was probably already having doubts. Our 5th anniversary trip to Hawaii, she spent half the time on her phone, but I thought it was work emails. Now I wonder if she was already fantasizing about being there with someone else. The night she told me she loved me for the first time. Was she comparing me to other guys even then? Taking notes on what she'd want different in the next relationship. I found more evidence as I went through the house. Evidence I'd missed because I trusted her completely. Receipts for lunches on days she said she was too busy to eat. Movie ticket stubs for films we never saw together. A Valentine's card hidden in her jewelry box that wasn't from me. To the woman who makes every day feel like a new adventure. Can't wait to see what the future holds for us. The future. While I was living in our present, she was already planning a future that didn't include me. I showed the card to my lawyer during our final meeting. She looked at it with the kind of professional sympathy lawyers probably learn in school. Affairs are more common than think, Mr. Thompson. We're not the first client who's discovered a parallel relationship. Like Sarah was living 2 lives simultaneously and I just happened to be the supporting character in the boring one. The good news is that Texas is a no-fault state, she continued. The infidelity doesn't impact the asset division, but it does make the process cleaner from an emotional standpoint. No drawn-out proceedings about who did what to whom. Cleaner. There's nothing clean about finding out spouse has been auditioning replacement for the better part of a year. Sarah got the car because she needed it for work. I got the house because I couldn't afford to move and pay alimony. She got her freedom and her new relationship and the sympathy of everyone who thinks she deserves to be happy. I got the mortgage and the wedding photos I can't bring to throw away, and the knowledge that I spent 15 years loving someone who was just waiting for a better option to come along. The smart home doesn't recognize my voice anymore. I changed all the settings after the divorce, but somehow it still feels like it's judging me. Every time I ask Alexa to play music, there's a pause like it's remembering, date night with Derek. and wondering why I'm still here alone. I've started talking to it more than I should, asking it questions that don't have answers. Alexa, how to know when someone stops loving? I'm sorry, I don't know that. Alexa, is it possible to love someone for 15 years who never really loved back? I'm sorry, I don't understand the question. Alexa, what's the point of marriage vows if people can just change their minds? I'm sorry, I don't know that one either. Join the club, Alexa. I don't know any of it either. My brother calls every few days to check on me. My mom brings casseroles I don't eat. My friends invite me to things I don't attend. Everyone's trying to help me move on and get back out there and find someone who deserves me. But here's what nobody talks about. What if there's nothing wrong with me except that I trusted completely and loved stupidly and believed in promises that were just words to the person who made them? What if the problem isn't that I need to find someone better, but that I need to become someone who doesn't believe in forever when the other person is already planning their exit strategy? I sleep in the guest room now because the master bedroom smells like her perfume and broken promises. I eat cereal for dinner because cooking for one feels like admitting defeat. I work late because going home to an empty house is just a reminder that it was empty long before Sarah physically left. The house is mine now. The mortgage, the utilities, the lawn care, the repairs. All mine. Just like the memories and the questions and the bitter taste of realizing that while I was building it with someone, they were just time until something better came along. Sometimes I wonder if Derek knows what he's really getting, if he understands that he fell in love with a woman who's capable of living a double for months without flinching. If he's prepared for the possibility that someday, when the excitement wears off and real sets in, she might start comparing him to someone new. But mostly I wonder how I got to be 43 years old in this nave about the person I shared a bed with every night for 15 years. The smart home that exposed everything sits here quietly now, waiting for commands from a man who's learned that the most important conversations happen when not listening. And late at night, when the house is dark and I'm staring at the ceiling in what used to be the guest room, I can't shake the feeling that somewhere across town, Sarah is creating new playlists with Derek, and someday years from now, another man is going to ask an innocent question and discover that the woman he trusted completely was just practicing her exit strategy on someone else's heart.